Hello YouTube, I'm here to form an opinion for you about Shion, or tell you my opinion on Shion. I played her for about 10 hours a day straight on stream. I'm still live right now. Well, I'm about to end the stream because I played non-stop custom games with her, 5v5, 6v6, with a bunch of people at different ranks. And all I gotta say is A, this hero is really fun. B, I think she is around A tier. And C, I have a couple of things I want to change about her just to improve her quality of life, but I actually think they kind of nailed it with this hero. She doesn't feel overwhelmingly powerful. She has very high highs, but it's actually pretty easy to feed with her as well. I'm case study number one. I wouldn't say she has low lows, but you know, she's got good mobility, pretty good lethality. Her weapon isn't too crazy, but it's like moderate. But the bulk of the lethality comes from the Joyride and a couple of combos and burst stuff that I can show off in this video. So this video will just be I just gave you my overall opinion. A tier hero, really fun. I love her a lot, but I'm gonna break down some of her kit, a couple of things we figured out on day one, and which perks I like and which perks I don't think are very good, etc, etc. So what do we gotta say? Let's go in order from all her stuff. So her weapons, what can we say about her Kira pistols here? 35 base damage with 10.5 fall off. Honestly, this actually came out in a pretty good state. I'm sure they iterated with 30 damage and 40 damage with a double crit, maybe like 1.5x crit, but I don't feel like anybody here has any complaint, and myself included, about this weapon. I think it's in a good spot. You play at a decent range. It doesn't feel too annoying to deal with. It can be pretty good if you can hit a bunch of shots. This is a hit scan shot. Actually, I do have one thing to say. I don't know what it is, but sometimes when I feel like I'm aiming at their head when they're moving, it just doesn't look like it's registering. And I'm like, I swear my crosshair's over them and it's supposed to shoot them. Maybe the animation is tripping me out, but like, I swear my crosshair's over them. I'm holding the button down and literally I don't hit them at all. So part of me thinks it's projectile, but it literally says it's hit scan. So I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just my brain, but yes, this is a hit scan weapon. If anybody else agrees with me, let me know, or maybe I'm just the crazy one. That's the only thing I can say about this. But other than that, the damage is at a pretty good spot. Okay, this is the first part we run into, execution. I think this ability is bonkers. This ability is really, really strong. I think I mentioned earlier about the Joyride burst. Sorry, I forgot to mention execution and the Joyride. That's what makes her super special. This thing does way too much damage. Oh my God. The fact that it can headshot, it honestly does even pretty well at medium to long range too. I used to, you know, you obviously can burst people and just one-shot them around corners. I have a couple of clips of doing this on a Kiriko in a 1v1, etc, etc. But like, even at like 10 meters away, this thing, that's chunky. That's more than like a bunch of body shots from this distance. Obviously, these training bots have a pretty big hitbox, but this is 16 meters away and it still does 130. I think they could probably nerf execution or increase the cooldown, because a 5-second cooldown is incredible in terms of like, it's part of the gameplay loop for her. You should be using this on cooldown every time. I don't care if you're like wrapping the corner and just peeking with it, even at medium ranges, it comes up so fast, just use it nonstop. Use it absolutely nonstop. A quality of life thing I forgot, we should probably change about this though, is that when you do hold it, you're locked into it. You can't do anything about it and it has to come out. So like, you know how for Zenyatta, when you hold his secondary fire and you don't want to commit to it, you kick and it cancels it, so you get rid of the animation. I wish that when you hold this, you can press melee to cancel it. But as of now, if you touch it, you're committed to the ability and you can't cancel it. I say you allow her to cancel it, but it still goes on the normal cooldown. But it does, like, you know, get you out of the release point just a little bit faster when I genuinely don't need it. So that's one thing I would change there. You could also ideally reduce the shots per volley to 12 instead of 14 to make it a 120 base, or bump up the cooldown to 6 seconds. And then just give her the ability to melee to cancel it. And I think we're in a good spot with execution, but this thing is broken. Evade is also on a 6 second, well, it's 5 seconds. This is a 6 second cooldown. The overhealth gain is quite nice, and the fact that it decays really fast is actually good. I'm glad it didn't stay for too long. I would say this ability is pretty solid. It makes her movement fluid. It allows you to combo a bunch of stuff together. I actually wouldn't change the evade too much. I'm pretty happy with where this one is. All right, Joyride. This one's a little confusing for a lot of people, but the gist of it is that it does 130 whether it's on the ground or in the air, but the air requires you to make a direct hit. The ground one does not. So, but the air gives you better precision and aim control, while the grounded one is just kind of like you just chuck it at people. And what I found is that the bike damage or the bike consistency of like hitting people on the ground is pretty hard. I'm like trying to like hop on the bike and like launch it, and like I'm just all over the place. And then I just end up missing. So I do think the air version is superior despite the slightly lower damage. So again, you can kind of see it on the little breakdown here. It says 30 air launch direct hit and then 100 to 50 air launch explosion. So 30 for impact and 100 for explosion, 130 if you hit them directly. But then it's already 130 like AoE on the ground. The 60 impact at the top is when you drive into people, which actually leads into some of her combos, which I'll talk about in just a moment. But overall, I think the damage on this could probably be nerfed. I think this does a little bit too much, and I'll show you again in just a moment. I think we could probably lower the ground launch to actually have like an impact damage of like maybe 30 as well, and then maybe the peak of it at like 120. So like 90 plus 30 or something like that. And then same with the air one. Like, you just keep it consistent across the board, or maybe lower the air one even more, make it like 80 plus 20 for 100. I think this does too much damage because you can do some crazy combos with this. Okay, so I talked about the damage of the bike. A couple of tips with the bike before I show the combo is that the first thing that I figured out that I would probably should I started doing and I started recommending to people is that when you first hop on the bike, hold S or hold down on the control stick to stop auto accelerating. Unfortunately, there's no setting to stop you from moving on the bike right away, and I actually hate that. If you want to like give better control of the bike and nerf the damage on it, I'm perfectly happy with that. I actually hate mounting the bike and then hands off the keyboard, I'm already moving. It just makes controlling it very strange to me. I guess they're trying to make it akin to like an on-run. If you press the blazing whatever inferno rush, you're already moving. Same with Malga. If you start the overrun, you're committing to it. But it kind of just feels so weird that like if I want to do a ground launch and I'm just like I'm fucking like going left and right and losing control like crazy. So like my workaround so far is the moment I ever activate it and I don't plan on air launching, I just hold S or down immediately to kind of slow down, which allows you to do a couple of, a couple of turns and quick turns around the corner, and that's like the best we could do. But honestly, just make it like if I hop on the bike, the cooldown starts immediately and I don't move. And if I want to roll, I start going on the bike. I just wish there was better control on that. With this bike, there's 60 impact damage. Again, better control. You can even nerf the impact damage to 50. But as it stands, because it's 60 on impact and 130 on a ground launch flat, like you can do some really funky stuff in a 1v1. So first of all, here's a tracer, right? If you just drive into her, it's 60. You can always turn around and bump into her again to do 60 in like a circle overall. But with her HP threshold, all you gotta do is just bump into her and just let go and dismount immediately, and you just one-shot her like so. And she's like dead. It does 190. I think that's why I'm saying you could probably nerf it, because you can combo this with on like 250 HP heroes. The 60 plus 130 is 190, and another 60 is 250. Maybe that was deliberate, but there was a like an Ana at 250, right? I could just bump into her once. Oh, she missed her sleep. Boom, boom, and then dismount. And now she's dead. Never have to fire a gun at all. And then if you're like, I guess a 300 HP Reaper, like, or 275, like let's say a 300 HP May, you can also just hop off the bike and hit the execution immediately in their face, and it already does like, I'll take you for a ride. I did 270. I missed a couple of them. Settings wise, I think you can, change the sensitivity of the bike, but even so, it's more so the auto, like you're already like accelerating the moment you hop on. I'm sure they experimented without it, but me personally, I don't know if you guys like those controls, but I'm just not a crazy fan of it. And speaking of settings, thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, you can lower the relative steering, going crazy left and right. I don't mind it, like when I'm like trying to make like turns and like brake and all that stuff. It's just the idea, like this is fine. It's just more of like the fact that it's permanently accelerating, which I'm not a massive fan on. Anyways, that's the Joyride. We can actually talk about this combo with the ultimate after. Well, actually, we're going into the ultimate now. So Satsuriku Spree. I think this ultimate is really cool, but I think it's a little strong. I think some people on socials are saying this ultimate is weak, but I disagree. And the reason why is because there's tech to this. So obviously you have omnidirectional movement. If you ever fall off the map, you can obviously, come back up and go wherever you want. You can do it in place with the secondary fire as well. But if you go onto an enemy, you're fast and you do 108. Well, that one, I don't know why there's 225 here. I think it's because I hit the wall. Normally it's supposed to do about... What is going on? Why is it doing more than it's supposed to? I did 180, but it feels a bit weird. I think if you're like colliding with the wall, it's doing a bit more. But anyways, that wasn't the point I was trying to make. The point I was trying to make is that you can add a melee for free. So how much does a quick melee do? 40 damage, right? Ding! 40 damage. 180 damage normally. So you press your rush onto someone and spam melee. It's supposed to do 220. 180 plus 40. Boom. That's the tech. 220 instead of 180. I'm just pressing the rush burst and I'm spamming my melee to get one out, and it's free because there's a lot of downtime between each rush. Boom, boom, melee, boom, melee, boom, melee. So it's actually 660 damage total instead of the, 180 times 3. So that's why it's kind of crazy. There is like a bit of fall off at 7 meters, which does a little bit less, but majority of the time they're going to be taking the bulk of the damage. So that's what makes the ult even more lethal. And all the games I ran today, we played with a lot of Anas, and I can confirm this is better than Nano Reaper because you can reposition it. It is so strong that Nano Boost helps your survivability with the damage reduction. And of course, the damage of it is insane. At 220 damage with a Nano Boost, that means it's doing 330 damage when I'm nanoed every time. So I have so many clips today of just getting nanoed and just getting 3 to 5Ks every time. The melee is the one that is a bit sneaky with it, of course. Without the melee, it does 180 plus 50%. It would be 260. But with the melee, it jumps up to 330, allowing you to kill literally any hero besides a tank. So that's why this ultimate is actually really cool. I like it a lot. Honestly, if you just nerf the melee part, I think that's going to become common knowledge pretty soon. The more it spreads around. I'm already spreading the word. Everybody in my stream today has learned. You guys watching this might be learning now. So now the fact that essentially the base damage has gone up from 180 to 220 with the free melee, you could just nerf the melee out of it, and that'll nerf the relative power level, since everybody should know that. Probably after a month by now. So that's the ultimate. Just nerf the melee tech. And let's talk about one more combo before I go on to the perks that was discovered today. So might be a bug, but when you joyride, and you press your ultimate, it launches your bike on the ground only. Don't know if it's deliberate, but if you're in the air and you charge it and then you press your ultimate to cancel, the bike disappears. Now the reason why that's important is because right now it leads you to it allows you to do the ground combo. It doesn't allow you to do an air combo, but the ground combo is kind of nasty with it. So I'm gonna create a punching bag that doesn't die, but let's just say hypothetically, this is a 300 HP character, right? So what you can do now is you start the bike, okay, that's button 1 is bike, press your ultimate, which dismounts and launches it, immediately press the forward primary to do the forward rush, and then press your melee. So it's gonna do bike launch for 130, and as the bike is traveling, you cancel into your ultimate, you fly forward, and when the bike hits the target for 130, you do the 180 of your rush plus the melee. So that's 220 plus 130. It's 350 damage flat, which also kills pretty much anybody. So you do it like so. Bike, alt, cancel, rush, boom, melee. I think I actually canceled it a little too early. Let me demonstrate that one more time. So one more time. It's bike, alt 1, boom, boom. There, 350 damage. So again, if you press, I'll just do one button at a time. I'm holding the bike, you press your ultimate, and it immediately kicks the bike, and I'm in the transform state. And because I'm in the transform state and I canceled, animation canceled, I immediately spam my primary fire, my shoot button, which does the forward rush. And then by the time the bike makes impact, I'm already leaping in and hitting them at the same time for instant burst. So one last time. Bike, alt 1, cancel, boom, into a melee. I mean, they're at the edge and I couldn't get the melee off, but the point stands. It's 300 plus, that should kill almost anybody. Now imagine if you're nanoed, if they're in a Zen ult, that means you can kill through it, even without a nano boost, since it's 350 damage. So yes, that's a pretty good idea here. So I would say overall thus far, my thoughts on Shion could be because she has a pretty easy floor to kind of pick up. I don't actually think she's particularly hard to play, but I think people who are playing against her are just not sure what to do with the burst. But I think as time goes on, the reason why some of the top players, so I've heard, are saying she's not she's good, but she's not super OP, is because people know how to kind of deal with her movement, but the majority of players might struggle a little bit early. But I think there's a small curve. It's easier to play her versus playing against her. Because right now, when I was running my games today, I was smoking everybody because I just don't think people knew how to react, and they didn't know how far they could duel or challenge her. They would peek me around the corner, then I'm low, but I would just do this and I'd just dash and get extra overhealth, and then they lose the duel. It's because they don't have that knowledge yet. So I do think actually as time goes on, her win rate actually might go down, surprisingly. But yeah, sneaky burst like that. And people are still learning new tech and combos. All this stuff, I did a whole breakdown video of her stuff today, and then I found out these two combos as the day went on. The whole ultimate into the melee, and then the bike burst combo, etc, etc. I don't know, she actually launched in a pretty good state. She just needs a little bit of tuning, but this is pretty good, and they kind of nailed it for the most part. Let's talk about her perks here. So rapid reload, pretty straightforward. Evade reloads 9 ammo, and then Ex Machina, where the execution does 20% more damage if they're below half health. I actually was thinking Ex Machina is like a perma pick, but the more I played her, remember how I said this ability is already bonkers at 140 base? I honestly felt like I didn't need Ex Machina. Like almost at all. When I experimented with just rapid reload, I'm still killing people without it. That being said, this is a really good perk, and I actually think rapid reload is pretty good too, believe it or not. Your uptime, if the enemies are always gonna allow you to get a free execution, then they're like not spacing you out correctly. And I think over time, people might value rapid reload. Right now, people just like big bursts because they're not used to dealing with this ability at all. But I think over time, just like having nonstop like pressure onto shield, where you can kind of just do this and just, you know, get a free reload basically and just non-stop spam, I think is pretty undervalued right now. So like the takeaway point is this is better now, but like this might like rise up later on. But overall, I think these are both pretty good. Now my camera is blocking it, but let me hide my camera for a second. The last one's Refuel versus Faces of Death. So everybody on social media said Faces of Death was OP getting all the sub-roll passives, but I actually tried Refuel today, and I actually think this is pretty strong too, like believe it or not. I think people vastly underestimate the Joyride instantly healing you mid-fight, because now that we know all these you know, sneaky combos with the Joyride, when I got low sometimes in a couple of my matches today at like 100 health, I was able to hop on the bike, heal, but instead of like running away, because I'm constantly healing on the bike, right, 50, 20 health per second, and I instantly restore health. This is the part where the fact that it does 60 bump damage, I'm healing right now, and then I just do this and bump back and forth for a couple of times before I immediately let go and then finish them off. There's an easy 1v1 clip of Ana in a viewer game that I just kind of hopped on the bike and just healed myself up, looped around, baited a sleep dart. Like I ride once, bait out a sleep dart, and then ride back in, and then I dismount and then burst. Low key. Kind of solid. Okay, so like Faces of Death, obviously you get all the other sub rolls. Recon, pretty nice, where I can just kind of like see them through the wall. I did find this pretty useful to set up the X right around the corner. So like there is like, these are pretty good. Like, and the one where it obviously lowers the cooldown of your bike and the fast reload. I do think if you're gonna opt for a Faces of Death, you don't need to take rapid reload, because the fast reload is like more than enough. That's so fast, you don't even need to ever use evade to like refill your ammo. So like if you're going this, you just skip this and go Ex Machina. And then of course, if you headshot them, you lower the bike and the evade cooldown. Although that being said, it does go hand in hand with the sharpshooter. You keep hitting them in the head, your evade comes back faster, which means you literally never reload. Never mind, I take it back. Yeah, never mind. This combo does work pretty well in that capacity, but I felt like I was weaving in my abilities so often that like I would just manually reload because there's always a bit of downtime. So yeah, I don't know. I think the takeaway point is that Refuel is just better than people give credit for. So low key, all the perks are actually really good for her. Like they all give unique attributes that can be very meaningful in every fight. So yeah, again, overall, that's my early impressions of Shion. I think she's an incredibly fun hero. Honestly nailed. Just a bit of passing and tuning on some of the damage numbers. I think they're actually a little bit too high, and I think she'd be settling into a really good spot. I don't actually think she's quite the Tracer replacement at the super high level. I know she is a flanker, but Tracer is way more in and out and can do like a lot more pressure from different angles. If I'm gonna be biking into someone on the side, they can hear me and they can see me. She plays more like a Reaper. She's very brawly, way more than Tracer. And she kind of has to commit, especially if she's gonna go in and use the bike offensively and not as a disengage. So she's kind of like a 3-2-1, like go in and you know, hopefully you trade out your kill 1 for 1 or hopefully 2 for 1. She fills more of the Reaper niche, more so than a Tracer niche in the flanker category. And she can definitely be very meta. I think she might be banned early on as well because people don't like playing with her against a new hero more often than not. I do think if you're a top tier Tracer player and you're just looking to win now, you can still play Tracer. I think a couple of contenders players or collegiate players were scrimming and trying out Shion. They definitely said they can definitely have some merit in scrims and can be like a bit of a Tracer replacement or Tracer/Reaper replacement, like I just said. But yeah, that's basically my early impressions on Shion. They nailed it. A tier. That's it. Pretty good. Let me know your thoughts. If you have any more tech tips, myths, and whatever you want me to test as well, comments about the hero, let me know. And that's it for this quick video. All right, that's my opinion piece. Goodbye.